What's up everybody, Frank from 5AM Ramen here, and I'm in Yamagata Prefecture. I'm going to be showcasing the best Yamagata ramen. Yamagata is known for having the most ramen shops per capita than anywhere else in the country. They absolutely love their ramen and their multiple ramen styles that they have up here. Right now we're starting with Sakata Ramen. Sakata City is a city of about 100,000 people or so here in Yamagata, but they deeply love their ramen, and I'm going to be heading to two places that do amazing Sakata Ramen. Let's do this. Welcome to 5AM Ramen, your dedicated ramen channel. I'm your ramen eating host, Frank, here to drag you along my ramen escapades. You're tuning into the 5th video in what is a Northern Japan ramen series. In the first 4 videos, I had 13 bowls of ramen in Gunma and Niigata prefectures. Feel free to check those out. But I'm now in Yamagata prefecture, and I can tell you I'm going to be having a lot of ramen up here. Yamagata is crazy about their ramen, and I'll be showing you 5 styles of ramen from this area. So buckle up as I introduce the first ramen style in Sakata City, Yamagata. And this style is all about dumplings. The first ramen shop up is Kachofugetsu. I arrive in Sakata City in the evening and make my way in the dark to Kachofugetsu from my cozy ryokan, or Japanese inn, my ramen base of operations. Here's Kachofugetsu. I love these smaller city ramen shops. You're almost not sure if they're open. Contrast this to the bright lights of Tokyo. At Kachofugetsu, I grabbed their top seller, the appropriately named Kachofugetsu Ramen. The soup is pork bones, whole chickens, but it's the fish that grabs your attention the most. They use multiple types of dried fish, including sea bream. And don't worry, I'll get to those pork and shrimp dumplings in a second. I comfortably set myself up in the corner of this restaurant and dive in. All right, so my ramen has just made landfall. I'm gonna start with the soup. Oh, that's so good. It's so light and refreshing, but you do get strong fish flavors, and I can smell the fish even with my mask on as soon as it made landfall in this bowl. Noodles are made in-house, not too thick, and they have a lot of water in them. Perfect for slurping. Now here I've got both shrimp and also pork dumplings. These are a big highlight in Sakata City and at this ramen shop. Here I go with the pork dumpling. Oh, that's good. A lot of pork too. They're not holding back. And here, the shrimp is very big as well. Let's try the shrimp. Fantastic. All right, so just finished my bowl at Kachofugetsu. It started raining on the way there, and I bought this umbrella at 7-Eleven, and of course as soon as I leave the ramen restaurant the rain stops completely. I left my umbrella at Koshu Hanten in Tsubame Sanjo. What is this, some sort of umbrella YouTube channel? Let's get back to ramen. So, Kachofugetsu. It was delicious, super light as I mentioned in the ramen shop. The noodles are substantial, the portions, but they don't weigh you down that much. They're not that dense, let's say. I'm really pumped to grab the next bowl and super hungry as well still. Those dumplings were a big highlight, and I'm looking forward to the dumplings at Mangetsu now. I'm sure they're going to be just as delicious, if not more delicious. As mentioned, the next ramen shop up is Wonton no Mangetsu. Wonton are wontons, by the way, or dumplings. Thankfully, walking to Mangetsu, I don't have to worry about rain. I arrive dry and find Mangetsu just as cozy as Kachofugetsu. Mangetsu's history can be traced back to 1960, and the owner had a goal of creating cloud-like, super thin wrapper dumplings. It takes a lot of work to get them this thin. I'll talk more about these dumplings later. So, I grabbed their go-to wonton men or dumpling ramen. The soup is dried fish and whole chickens. And here we have straight noodles instead of wavy, like we saw before. By the way, Mangetsu has a branch in Tokyo on the west side in Mitaka City. There is a ridiculous amount of great ramen in Mitaka City. It's a West Tokyo ramen battleground near the Ghibli Museum, or in Japanese, the Ghibli Museum. By the way, I did a whole video about Mitaka Ramen. Feel free to check that one out too. After my ramen arrives at Mangetsu, here's me going straight for the soup.
That's good. Basically, it's a saltier soy sauce and also quite peppery compared to the other place. Noodles are very similar. Now my dumpling has fallen apart here, but I will find it. There's a little bit of at least the meat part. The dumpling wrappers are much fluffier and softer. Like they really just fall apart in the soup.
After finishing the bowl, I walked back to my hotel, or ryokan I should say, to give you a more in-depth recap. Alright, so I'm back here at the hotel after those back-to-back bowls. The difference between Kachofugetsu and Mangetsu, little minor differences, let's say. At Kachofugetsu, the broth was lighter, and at Mangetsu, it had a stronger, bolder soy sauce flavor, let's see, more tangy, saltier, and there was also a lot more pepper in the broth. Had a nice peppery kick to it. But I feel like at Kachofugetsu, you had a bit more fish flavor, especially when the bowl reached me. It was kind of like, oh, I smell that fish already. As to the noodles, they're very similar. At both places, the dumplings were awesome, of course. And of course, at either place, you can double up or triple up or quadruple up on the dumplings if you like. In terms of flavor, at both ramen shops, the dumplings were great. I will say the wrappers at Mangetsu were more fluffy and like silky smooth. They were very silky to the point where when you pick them up, they really just fall apart because that wrapper is so silky smooth. Delicious bowls of Sakata style ramen. I'm gonna jump in the onsen or the bath here at the ryokan and freshen up a little bit, get a good night's sleep, and then move on to another city in Yamagata for famous ramen. I'm going to Shinjo City, and they're known for a chicken ramen with chicken offal on top, or giblets. Now, some of you might think that offal is awful, but give it a chance. And we're gonna see another famous Yamagata ramen city and another famous Yamagata ramen style. See you in the morning. So the morning arrives and the plan changes. I decide that I'm gonna grab one more bowl in Sakata City. I'm so glad that I made this change of plans though, because the ramen shop is a legendary one. But before eating the ramen, I can't say no to a free breakfast at the ryokan. I sometimes wonder how many calories I actually consume, but I never bother checking. I'm living the dream. After breakfast, I head to the legendary Sakata ramen shop that I mentioned, Kenchan. They go back to 1979. The son carries the ramen torch now, and he hasn't really changed anything from when his father opened up the ramen shop. Kenchan's style is different from the fish-leaning dumpling ramen we've sampled up to now. While they also do a fish-based soup with some kelp, the dried fish is even more in the background, and there's a wonderful richness coming from pork back fat. It's simple but punchy delicious. I loved this bowl. Also, you get to customize your ramen. How much pork back fat you want, the strength of flavor, and the noodle portion size. I went right in the middle for everything. But even with the regular portion of noodles, you still get 300 grams, but it's totally worth it because these are special noodles, hand-pressed and made in-house with loving care. I had to eat quickly. I was actually very concerned with the time and finishing the 300 grams of noodles. It was literally right down to the wire because I had to rush to the bus stop to the train station to make sure I made my train to the next ramen city. So I squeezed in one more bowl before going from Sakata to Shinjo, and it's a little bit tight because the trains don't run that frequently from Sakata to Shinjo. So I'm kind of scrambling to get the next train to Shinjo City and waiting for the bus right now. So I successfully did make the train to Shinjo Yamagata. I breathe a sigh of relief on the train and immediately notice that snow will be making a comeback here, even if it's piled up and not fresh snow. I end up arriving safely in Shinjo City. Shinjo City is going to be my ramen outpost for the day. I'm spending the night here. Of course, I'm hitting 2 ramen shops immediately in Shinjo City. But these ramen shops I'm going to be saving for the next video. Shinjo City's chicken soup, chicken motsu, or chicken giblet ramen. I hope to see you in the next video on this northern Japan ramen trip. Thanks for tuning in.